I believe there's only 4 key components to running a perfect bulking phase. And if you literally track these 4 things on a daily basis, you wake up every day, write the number down, look at how it's changing week on week, literally cover everything you need to worry about to maximize your gains, minimize the amount of body fat you're putting on, and run the longest possible bulking phase that you can. So let's get straight into it. Number 1 is your rate of gain, or ROG for short, or ROG, whatever you want to call it. And it stands for the percentage of your body weight that you are gaining on a weekly basis. So when you're in a calorie surplus and you're eating more energy than you're expending on a daily basis, your body weight is going to be increasing. But the speed at which you do this is so fucking important. And there's a little bit of a Goldilocks zone. If your rate of gain is too slow, so in other words, your body weight isn't really going up at all and it's just staying the same over months and months and months, you're not building any motherfucking muscle and you're wasting your time. So we probably need your rate of gain to be above 0.1% of your body weight. So in other words, we want to make sure on average, your body weight is actually going up. It's not just staying the same. But you also need to watch out for the other end of the spectrum, where we don't want your body weight actually going up too quickly. And it's weird because initially you'd think, what do you mean? Body weight going up fast? Obviously that's a good thing. We're trying to gain weight, right? But there's some really big fucking problems that can crop up if you're gaining above 1% of your body weight every single week. Number 1 is you'll end up getting too fat too quickly, like I did in my first bulk. After 3 months, you'll be looking like a complete gorilla. And you won't be able to carry on bulking because your appetite will be tanked, you'll be feeling too fat, your family members will be asking if you're okay or not, your grandma won't be calling you handsome anymore, you'll have no chance at getting a girlfriend, and you won't actually have put on that much muscle because your gaining phase didn't last long enough. So we actually need to be careful of gaining weight too quickly, especially as a skinny guy, because when you're gaining above 1% of your body weight every single week, your appetite is getting tanked. You're eating so much food that your appetite is dying every single week because you're just trying to force feed calories down. So the Goldilocks zone that I kind of aim for with my clients is in between 0.1% and 0.5% of their body weight. Anything above this, they're gaining weight too quickly, putting on fat too quickly, and they'll tank their appetite. Anything below this, and they're not really doing anything at all. Anywhere between here, consistently over time, is absolutely perfect, where they're not gaining too much body fat, they're putting on an optimal amount of muscle, and their appetite is staying intact. So when they stay in this range, they can carry on bulking for months and months and months. One important caveat here is on a weekly basis, your rate of gain might not fall between these 2 markers. 1 week it might be too fast, the next week it might be too low, then you'll have a perfect week, then you'll have a low week, then you'll have a high week. As long as on average it falls in between this range, you're absolutely golden. For example, when I stepped off stage last year, I was 70 kilos. For a whole 12 months after that, I went into a gaining phase and I ate 3,600 calories every single week. On a weekly basis, my rate of gain was going too fast, too slow, too fast, too slow, all over the place. Never really fell consistently within this range. But when I calculated the average over 52 weeks, the amount of weight that I'd gained, it fell absolutely perfectly at 0.4%. So it's the average over time that we care about here, not the weekly one. So don't stress if you have 1 week that's too high and 1 week that's too low. As long as over time it's trending in the right direction, you're absolutely sound. Key component number 2 is your training progression. Going to the gym in itself isn't a fucking enough. You can't just get away with going to the gym, going through the motions, training what you want, and then going home. That will not build you the muscle you want in a bulking phase. You have to have a rigid plan in place, doing the same exercises every single week in a progressive manner. Now, what I mean by this is, imagine if you're going to the gym and you're doing dumbbell bench press. You're using the 20 kilo dumbbells and you're doing 3 sets of 10 every time you go in there. The first week you do this, you'll build a little bit of muscle because your chest won't be used to it. The second week you do this, you'll build a little bit less muscle because your chest is starting to get used to it. By week 3, you will be building literally 0 muscle because your chest has completely adapted to that stimulus. It's used to it. It's boring. It's not going to grow from it anymore. What you need to do is, instead of doing the same thing in the gym every week, you need to make it slightly harder. Each week you need to go in and beat your numbers from the previous week. Get 1 extra rep, improve your form, pause at the bottom, go a little bit heavier. Doesn't matter how you do it, you have to train in a progressive manner. And when you train with a progressive stimulus week on week, that is when the gains start rolling in. So on a weekly basis, you need to be tracking your lifts and making sure that your lifts are going up on every single week that isn't a deload week. On a deload week, you need to recover, you need to pull your intensity back, have a week where you chill and recover, and then get back to progressive training again. So it's almost like you train harder, have a rest week, go again, harder. And you want to attack your training in step phases like this. If you just try and progress forever, you will end up getting ill, having a week of being ill, and then going back to the gym. Take a deload week before that happens. Factor number 3 is your protein intake. This is literally you providing the building blocks to build muscle in your body. Without these building blocks, there is no chance you're actually going to be able to build muscle. You'll just be putting on fat. So you need to be eating a specific amount of protein that fits within a certain range. Let me explain why there's a range, and it's not just eat as much as you can. Number 1, you need to be eating enough protein to maximize your muscle protein synthesis. Fucking hell, synthesis. In other words, have enough protein going around your body. When you tear muscle fibers from training in the gym, there's protein to actually repair those muscles and build them back bigger and stronger. But you don't want to be eating so much protein that it tanks your appetite, because protein has got a really high thermic effect. In other words, it fills you up. When you eat 100 calories worth of protein, your body burns 23 calories, breaking the protein apart. So if you're shoveling down like 300, 400 grams of protein, it could tank your appetite and potentially lead to you having to cut your bulking phase short because your hunger dies. We don't want this to happen. So you need your protein to land within a specific range. And the 4th and final piece of data that I believe you need to track to run a perfect bulk is your progress photos. Because even though scale weight is useful, measurements are useful, we don't actually care how much you weigh. You don't walk around with a number plastered to your forehead, and you don't walk around with your measurements visible for everyone, but you do walk around in the physique that you're wearing. So you need to be revisiting your progress photos every single week and checking to see if you can see specific muscle groups actually growing. You need to be looking at which ones are responding better than others, which muscle groups are stronger than others, and which ones you actually need to prioritize in the bulk. And I truly believe that if you keep these 4 key data points in check every week in a bulking phase, it is impossible for you to not run the perfect bulk. And actually, I don't just believe that, I know that, because 3 months ago, I built up a perfect bulking spreadsheet that tracks these 4 variables every single week, and it has artificial intelligence built into it to make sure that all 4 of these variables are in the perfect spot every single week. Number 1, it optimizes your rate of gain. So it checks if you're gaining weight too quickly and it pulls calories away. But if you're not gaining weight at all, it gives you some more calories to eat. Secondly, it progressively overloads your training by giving you a training program, telling you what exercises to do, and enforcing you to train a little bit heavier every single week. Number 3, it gives you an exact protein range to hit with a lower limit and an upper limit, making sure that you're maximizing your gains without tanking your appetite. And number 4, it even reminds you to take your progress photos, compare them, and see if you're making gains or not. And I shared this spreadsheet with every single guy who's in my bulking community, and the results have been unbelievable. Sean made this transformation in 5 weeks. Enrique made this transformation in 4 weeks. Will made this transformation in less than a month. And Nick even started seeing gains in his first 2 weeks. So I know if you keep these 4 key factors in check, it's impossible for you not to run the perfect bulk. If you want your copy of this spreadsheet, along with 20 high-calorie bulking recipes for you to go and copy and put into your diet, and to be in a community full of skinny guys that are on the same journey as you, then click the top link in the bio and go and join the Growth Blueprint, because you're going to fucking love it in there. And right now, it literally costs £30 a month, which is less than £1 a day. But soon, the price will be going up to £50 a month. But if you get in now, you will lock your price in at £30 a month, and it won't change forever for as long as you want to stay in there. So go and get involved, and I'll see you in there.